Have you ever wondered how the current oil situation in Saudi Arabia could have ripple effects across the globe? Today, we delve into the heart of the matter, the oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia and its potential global implications. Now, Saudi Arabia isn't just any country when it comes to oil production. It's the world's largest oil exporter, possessing nearly 1/5 of the world's proven petroleum reserves. So what exactly is this oil squeeze we're talking about? It's a complex situation wherein Saudi Arabia, in an attempt to control oil prices and maintain a steady flow of revenue, has been limiting its oil production. This situation is further complicated by internal politics, regional conflicts, and international pressures. The implications of this oil squeeze are far-reaching. From the gas pumps in New York to the factories in China, the ripple effects of Saudi Arabia's decision could be felt globally. It's not just about the price of your next tank of gas. This situation could potentially disrupt global energy markets, affect economic stability, and even spark geopolitical tensions. Moreover, this isn't happening in a vacuum. The global energy landscape is undergoing significant changes, with renewable energy sources on the rise and a growing push towards sustainability. Yet, oil remains a crucial part of the energy mix, and any major disruption in its supply could have serious consequences. In a recent move, President Joe Biden emphasized the United States' commitment to the Middle East and its intention to ensure stability and boost the flow of oil. This comes at a time when Saudi Arabia's oil squeeze is being closely watched by the world, and any major decision could have significant implications on the global stage. The oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia is not just a local issue. It's a global concern that could impact economies worldwide. As we continue this conversation, we will delve deeper into the role of the United States, the changing dynamics in the Middle East, and the potential implications of this ongoing situation. The United States has a critical role to play in the Middle East, but what does this mean for Saudi Arabia's oil situation? Let's delve into the recent remarks made by President Joe Biden at the Gulf Cooperation Council Summit. The president emphasized the United States' commitment to the Middle East, intending to ensure stability and boost the flow of oil. This pledge comes amidst a time where fluctuations in the oil market have become a global concern, and Saudi Arabia, one of the world's largest oil producers, is feeling the squeeze. But how does the U.S.'s commitment to stability in the Middle East factor into this? Well, President Biden's remarks suggest that the U.S. will not leave a vacuum to be filled by other global powers like China, Russia, or Iran. This could mean that the U.S. will be more proactive in its foreign policy and could even intervene to ensure that oil production remains stable. Now let's consider the implications of this for Saudi Arabia's oil situation. A more stable Middle East, as pursued by the United States, could mean a more predictable oil market. This could potentially ease the oil squeeze that Saudi Arabia is currently experiencing. It could also mean that Saudi Arabia will have a strong ally in the U.S., who could support the country in maintaining its oil production. However, this commitment from the U.S. is not without its caveats. President Biden also called on Arab leaders to uphold human rights and allow their citizens to speak openly. These conditions could present challenges for Saudi Arabia, a country that has faced criticism for its human rights record. In addition, there are also the geopolitical considerations. The U.S.'s commitment to the Middle East may lead to tension with other global powers like China and Russia, who also have a vested interest in the region. This could potentially complicate Saudi Arabia's relations with these countries, adding another layer of complexity to the oil squeeze situation. In conclusion, the United States' commitment to the Middle East could have significant consequences for Saudi Arabia's oil situation. While there are potential benefits, such as a more stable oil market and a strong ally in the U.S., there are also challenges and complexities that could arise. As always, the situation is fluid, and only time will reveal the true impact of these policies. The Middle East is a region in flux. How does this impact Saudi Arabia's oil squeeze? To decipher this, we must first understand that the Middle East is a complex tapestry of differing views and foreign policies. On one end of the spectrum, we have countries seeking to isolate Iran, a major player in the region. On the other, There are nations maintaining diplomatic ties with the same. This disparity in the stance towards Iran creates an unpredictable environment which could potentially influence the dynamics of the oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia. Adding to this complexity is the potential for confrontation with Iran. With tensions simmering, the threat of escalated conflict looms over the region. Such a situation could disrupt the oil flow and further tighten the squeeze on Saudi Arabia's oil industry. But the Middle East isn't just about its internal dynamics. It's a global chessboard where other powers, such as China and Russia, are making their moves. China, with its growing economic might, is expanding its influence in the region. Russia, on the other hand, has shown interest in Iran's weapons-capable drones, adding another layer of uncertainty. How does this all tie back to the oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia? Well, a stable Middle East is conducive to a stable oil market. But, as we've seen, stability is in short supply. The differing views on foreign policy, the potential confrontation with Iran, and the involvement of global powers like China and Russia all create a state of flux that could either exacerbate or help alleviate the oil squeeze. Let's not forget the role of the United States here. As President Joe Biden emphasized at the Gulf Cooperation Council Summit, the U.S. will not walk away from the Middle East. This commitment could be a stabilizing force amidst the changing dynamics. The shifting dynamics in the Middle East could potentially exacerbate or alleviate Saudi Arabia's oil squeeze. The future of the region and its impact on the oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia is a story that's still being written. Human rights have been a hot topic in Saudi Arabia, but how does this tie into the nation's oil squeeze? Saudi Arabia's track record on human rights has been a sticking point in its international relations. One case that sent shockwaves around the globe was the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. This incident not only strained Saudi Arabia's relationship with many countries, but it also highlighted the country's attitude towards freedom of expression and the press. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with oil? Well, it's all about the interplay of economics and politics. Oil, as we know, is a crucial resource that powers the global economy. But its extraction and sale aren't just economic activities, they're political ones too. When a country like Saudi Arabia, one of the world's leading oil producers, faces criticism for its human rights practices, there can be economic repercussions. Some nations may choose to limit their oil dealings with Saudi Arabia as a form of political pressure. This could lead to a decrease in demand for Saudi oil, potentially exacerbating the oil squeeze. Furthermore, these human rights issues could affect Saudi Arabia's relationship with key allies. Take the United States, for example. The U.S. has a significant interest in the stability of the Middle East and the flow of oil. However, it also has a commitment to promoting and protecting human rights. This dual focus could create tension in U.S.-Saudi relations, possibly influencing oil negotiations and agreements. In addition, human rights concerns could impact the perception of Saudi Arabia on the global stage. This could undermine the country's attempts to attract foreign investment and diversify its economy beyond oil, a strategic goal for the nation. In essence, human rights issues in Saudi Arabia are not just about ethics or morality. They're also about the nation's economic future and its place in the world. And with the ongoing oil squeeze, these issues could prove to be more significant than ever. Human rights issues in Saudi Arabia could complicate the nation's oil situation even further. So, what could be the potential implications of the oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia? Let's recap the key points we've touched upon in this video. The oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia has been a result of various factors. The role of the United States has been pivotal, with President Biden affirming the country's commitment to the Middle East, emphasizing the importance of stability and a steady flow of oil. This commitment is crucial in the face of changing dynamics in the region, as nations grapple with their foreign policies and navigate their relationships with Iran. But the oil squeeze isn't just a regional concern. Its implications ripple out globally, with potential impacts on worldwide oil prices and economic stability. Saudi Arabia holds a significant portion of the world's oil reserves. Any disruption in their oil production could send shockwaves through the global market, potentially leading to a surge in oil prices. This, in turn, could impact economies around the world, particularly those heavily reliant on oil imports. The situation also brings to the fore the issue of human rights. As President Biden urged the Arab leaders to prioritize human rights, the international community will be closely watching how these nations respond. The handling of this situation could have profound implications for the human rights landscape in the region. In conclusion, the oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia is a complex issue, intertwining geopolitics, economics, and human rights. It's a delicate balancing act, with each decision potentially tipping the scales and leading to unforeseen consequences. The oil squeeze in Saudi Arabia is a complex issue with far-reaching implications. As we continue to watch this situation unfold, it's crucial to consider the global consequences that could arise from this oil squeeze.